prison, like one thing I was always aware of was like how limited my mobility was. Like I had this practice, I would count my steps every day from my cell and back to my cell, and I never went like beyond a certain amount of feet on a daily basis. So that kind of bothered me a bit. And I was like, holy shit, my life, I live in this bubble of like 250 square feet. I never go beyond that.
We began our whole PEP debt research lab doing a series of interviews asking people about the totality of the debts in their household and how the debt that they accrued through the prison system and the court system, you know, what other kinds of debts it coexisted with in their home. And the car just kept coming up over and over again. And then we started to realize that the same people had been arrested in their cars, even as they were really shackled with a kind of automobile debt. And so we started directing specific questions and had a kind of breakaway branch of our research project that began focusing on cars specifically in relationship to these themes.
Currently, I work for NYU. I do research. I'm also an entrepreneur. So I was one of the first to graduate through the PEP program from Ward Kill out into Washington Square. It was kind of rough. I think it was a little rougher in the beginning, you know, when I first started driving, because I think I was home for about almost a year and a half before I got my first car back again. So it was a little, you know, it's difficult. It was difficult because it's like a lot of pressure.
There are two really big systems that capture and control people and keep them down, keep them in their lane. And one of them is a system of credit and debt, and the other is a system of policing jails and prisons. And if you look at the car, it's a way of seeing how these two systems combine together in order to keep poor people poor, in order to keep people disciplined and in their place within American society.
I worked for dealerships such as Chrysler, Nissan, Toyota, Acura, you know, you name it, I sold it. People with bad credit, it's not that they can't get a car. It really boils down to how much money can we make off the car and how much money will the bank give for the car. So with their bad credit, whether I'm going to put them in a special finance, because you have special finances for people with bad credit, whether it's not, I'm going to sell them a car here or get a co-signer, but the ultimate goal is to roll that rubber.
Just last year, you was laughing at your neighbor for getting their car repo. Fast forward a year later, your neighbor pulls up in a 2020 Mercedes-Benz. Immediately, the hate in your heart starts to grow. You thinking like, how did that happen? They just had a repo. That's impossible. You go outside, you ask your neighbor where they get it from. They tell you northeastkia.com. You like a Kia dealership?
Initially, me coming home, I really didn't have much established credit. So that was definitely one reason I wasn't gonna look to go towards a dealer, because the lower your credit is, the less established you are, the more money you're gonna be charged in interest. The more money you're gonna be charged on the car, period. You know, you might get, just because you're in a less of a financial a stable financial position, they're going to use that against you. And the fact that you might be even using this car to accelerate, they're going to use that against you and tack that onto the car's price.
There's really no alternative to driving, and it's 100% certainty you're going to get pulled over at some point. Everyone is going to break the law. And the need for traffic enforcement became really the story about the invention of modern policing. And there was a great debate about how they could, or whether they could do warrantless searches of cars. And very early on, the courts decided that they could. And this opened up a whole world of trouble for people who, people especially drivers of color, who are targeted by police in predatory ways, and the consequences have been fatal for many of those. And if not fatal, then a world of financial pain for others.
I actually got pulled over in a car that wasn't even flashy. This is my last pullover, and I was arrested out of this pullover. I got pulled over for using my cell phone while driving. However, I wasn't using my cell phone. I had my Easy Pass, but it wouldn't stay on the dashboard. So I got pulled over, and the lady said, "Oh yeah, you were using your cell phone." I said, "All right, no problem." I gave her my driver's license. Then she says it's a ping in the system. So, long story short, I was wanted for questioning in I guess, a crime that was committed like 2 years prior. She went to her car, because I'm watching her from my rearview mirror. She called backup on her cell phone, and then they pretty much accosted me out the car. They said, if you don't get out the car, this is not going to go the way you think it's going to go.
We're finding that more and more people who have been incarcerated, who grew up in inner city neighborhoods, can no longer afford to live in those central city neighborhoods, and have had to relocate to the margins of the city, or to suburban parts of the city, the metro area.
It's weird because cars can be a debt, but cars can be a source of income. I personally have used every car that I had as a source of income. Whether I drove cabs in it, whether I did it to hustle, or whether I did it to get back and forth to, my primary job, or, my educational institution. Just be patient. Most people who've come from being incarcerated has found some form of level of patience. So, just apply those same levels of patience towards, moving forward in your life. It's not a race. Everybody got to get there at their own pace.
As a filmmaker, I'm always on the go, meeting new people, going to new places. If I don't have mobility by train, by bus, or by car, I won't feel free. I ride the train pretty much every day. But the car is different, because when I drive, I'm responsible for the movement in a way, which is a special kind of agency.